Hey guys, this is Drax, and yes, we finally have an update on Star Wars Battlefront 2. I have to tell you guys, it's a pretty great update, and they've improved a lot of things. I think the only person who can be upset about this one is Emperor Palpatine, as his lightning can no longer go through walls. However, he did get a little buff, so we're going to check that one out in a bit. But we're going to go through the changes now, and I'm going to start right at the beginning with custom arcade changes, because they've added Kashyyyk, Hoth, Endor, Crate, Jakku, and the Death Star too, so you can use those locations when you're playing arcade now. They've also launched the new game mode, Jetpack Cargo. Now I wasn't too sure about this one, whether it would be that great to play, but honestly it is fantastic, a lot of fun, and the first game I played probably lasted around half an hour long. We had really equal teams and it was back and forward action. It's really fast paced. All of the recharge rates on the jet troopers have been sped up. You've got the rocket launcher you can fire multiple times when you've got it equipped before it has to recharge. And your abilities like using the jetpack in both ways have been also sped up. So it's a really fast paced game mode. You got to really work well as a team. First to get 3 cargo captures is the winner. But honestly guys, I really do enjoy this one and I recommend you check it out. Remember, that one's meant to be a limited time thing, but we probably will get it as a permanent feature in the future, I would reckon, because it's actually a pretty good game mode to play. I mean, I can't imagine playing it all the time, but I think I'm definitely going to play it a fair bit now it's in the game. Now also for a limited time, they've added 3 new hero appearances to the game. And this is the Hoth appearance for Luke Skywalker, Leia Organa and Han Solo. And you can find this under appearance in the menu. And you'll be able to unlock those through challenges that are coming up in the future. So stay tuned to the challenge menu and you probably see a few pop up in the future that will allow you to unlock those appearances for those characters. Now the main thing about this patch, what we were expecting, was a load of hero balance tweaks and fixes. And that's exactly what they've done. So for the balance into heroes and villains, we're going to start here with Boba Fett. One of those villains that people wanted to see a lot of improvement on, especially with his E3. Well, they've done more than that. They've made substantial changes to the way he flies. And they think that we're going to actually love the changes. Well, I have to tell you, I absolutely do love these changes. The way his jetpack moves around now is fantastic. Very fast, easy to control. You got the E3 as well, which they've improved with the distance. It does more damage at distance, basically. Still the same upfront damage, but the drop-off damage is better. Everything else is better, and damage. Easy to hit targets from range now, similar to the old E3. And the jetpack controllability. Well guys, I think you would absolutely love Boba Fett now. He feels far better than he did before. Check him out in arcade, check him out in multiplayer. I really think you're going to enjoy playing as Boba Fett. Now, Iden Versio, they didn't do the changes that I expected. What they've done here was made her droid stun snappier. They believe it to be a significant improvement to Iden. What I didn't know before is that the droid actually done damage when it's stunned. So they've reduced the damage from 50 to 40, but they've reduced the time between the ability activation and the actual shock. So you can pretty much send it out any time now as a very offensive maneuver to shock someone and give yourself an easy kill. So that does work pretty well trying it out in arcade. It'd be interesting to see how that works in multiplayer. For Bosk, his Relby V10 they said had somewhat of an awkward high recoil, so they've reduced that a bit and made the animation feel more responsive. And they also, this is the one that was overperforming. They said the multi-trap star card values were incorrect and the epic star card could increase the radius of the damage past what was listed on the card. So they've reduced the damage on the traps and they fixed the blast radius on that star card. Now as for Rey, her signature ability Insight had too much range as far as they were concerned. So they've reduced that down. They've also reduced the mind control radius from 20 to 18 meters. And the Farsight card has also been reduced by a maximum of 10% now at top tier. So instead of 50% extra range, you're going to be getting 40% with that Farsight card. Now as for Kylo Ren, everyone knew that his abilities took too long. So what they've done with this one is they've reduced the time that his abilities take to recharge. Pull and Freeze have been reduced in recharge time. And also the main one here, which is going to make Kylo Ren better all round, is when using Frenzy, Kylo Ren now has a 40% damage absorption while it's active. Now that's crazy, 40% damage absorption. So every time you're using Frenzy, you're going to take that much less damage. So I'm going to be using Frenzy a lot more now, and that also makes that Bloodlust card that he has a lot more usable. So I'm definitely going to be using that one, and I think that's the way forward with Kylo now. Use Frenzy as much as possible because you're going to receive 40% less damage while doing so. Now Luke Skywalker, he's an interesting one. They said they heard our wishes to make Luke traverse faster. Now I didn't really know that anyone requested his increased sprint speed. Everything I heard was about doing more damage with his abilities. But that's what they've done. They've increased his sprint speed a little bit. They've increased his health from 700 to 750. He's got a better regeneration rate, better regeneration delay, so he can get in and out of battles, sort of a hit and run hero. That's what he's going to be in the future. But they have reduced his max regeneration amount by 250 to 200, so a little bit of a nerf there. And they've also further down in the bug fixes, they've corrected his damage, so he might actually be doing the correct damage. Maybe he wasn't doing that before on his riposte ability. Now, as for Emperor Palpatine, now everybody wanted this nerf, I think, except for maybe those who mained Emperor Palpatine. I love getting those 100 elimination games all the time. But now Emperor Palpatine requires line of sight on his targets to trigger damage with both his Dark Aura and default lightning abilities. They both no longer go through obstacles and walls. What they've done instead to counter this in a way is to increase the reach of the lightning ability from 12 to 40 meters to compensate for the tighter collision check. So what that technically means is, although he's got a nerf and he can no longer shoot his lightning and use his Dark Aura through the walls, he has been buffed, so he's got more range now on his basic lightning attack. So you're going to have to watch out for that one, because Emperor Palpatine will now be able to hit you from further away. I don't think this is going to make a big difference to those players who normally play Palpatine. I don't think a lot of my kills came from using his abilities through walls. I think most of the time it's the fact that he can get so much HP back from doing his lightning absorption that makes him so strong. So I expect to see more nerfs on Palpatine in the future. He's still very, very strong. I think a lot of people will still use him, and he'll still be probably the best villain on the game. But moving on now to Chewbacca, another one that was way too strong in HVV mostly. Well, they put this down to Chewbacca having one of the longest stun duration abilities in the game, and it made him quite powerful. And I guess I agree with that one. His stun grenade is probably the main reason why he was so powerful. But what they've done here is reduce the shock time from 1.6 to 1 second, whilst also reducing the bowcaster's side projectile explosive damage and the Furious bowcaster's side projectile's explosive damage as well. So a bit of an all-round nerf there for Chewbacca. As for Yoda, as said, in HVV mostly, Yoda was feeling very weak in compared to other lightsaber wielders. So what they've done is increase his attack damage significantly to bring him on par with the others. They've also changed his barrier ability, as it would now break immobilizing effects upon activation. Now his barrier ability, I believe this is block, where he absorbs stuff. I think that's what they're talking about here. So his lightsaber damage basically gone from 80 to 115. So I believe he does the most damage with his lightsaber of any lightsaber user now. His barrier, or his block, I believe, they've added the functionality to break out of immobilizing effects on activation. They've increased energy holding time, so when he actually stores energy, he's going to store it for 0.2 second longer. They've increased the angle on Unleash, so anyone in the side of you should get hit now. And they've increased tier to tier damage on Unleash, so technically he's pretty much going to do more damage all the time, Yoda, from this patch. So he's going to be a lot better hero to use in more circumstances. Now for Lando, and they felt the need to increase his effectiveness against lightsaber users. Now the best tool he had against them had a 25-second cooldown, and that was of course the Disruptor. So to combat this, they've reduced the cooldown of the Disruptor and the smoke grenade, so 25 seconds down to 19 and 15 seconds down to 14. I was hoping for sort of a health regen for Lando, but it doesn't look like they see the need for that at this time. I still think Lando's one of the best for stopping Palpatine, so you got to keep that in mind with Disruptor, sort of like a shocking trap. When he comes near, you can activate it and take him out. As for Darth Vader now, they've changed how the choke works in order to simplify comprehension for the player that is Darth Vader and for their target. Now I'm not really sure what they've done with the choke here, but basically it looks like an opening attack that will disable your enemy or a finishing attack. It doesn't seem to work like it did before at all now. So you don't pick them up, you don't press the choke button, it seems to just pick them up, do a certain amount of damage and then drop them again. At that point they're disabled for a little bit and you could probably get in a second attack and finish them off. I'm not sure if I really like this one. It kind of works in the same way as the other choke abilities like Darth Maul. You press it, you throw them, you do half damage, and then you go and finish them off. Sort of like that in the same way. That's the way it feels right now, unless I'm missing something. But what they've done as well, in an effort to make Darth Vader more tanky, they've granted him a health bonus when he activates the Focus Rage ability. As said previously, the Focus Rage ability was like a weak version of Rey's Insight. So this makes it even better now, because it gives him a 200 temporary health bonus when he activates it. So what that does is takes him up from 800 to 1000 health, and I say 800 because his max health has been reduced from 900 to 800 now. So 1000 health when he has the Focus Rage ability activated, and he can pretty much take any damage during that time up to 200, and it won't eat into his main health pool. So that's pretty good for Vader. That makes him feel more tanky. I'm not really sure about what they've done with the choke, but you guys let me know what you think about that one in the comments. And finally, for Captain Phasma, they took notice of our feedback regarding the use of Captain Phasma's staff. It was way too slow before, so they've made it feel faster and more fluid. They've done this by increasing the animation speed of the ability and increasing the transition speed between each strike. They've also made it so that she can use her blaster very quickly after using a staff strike. So that's all the hero and villain changes that have been listed here. I think we wanted a few more, but what they have done is very, very good, and it's going to change the game up quite a bit. I'll be interested to see what you guys think of all the changes listed there. Underneath we have a few hero and villain bug fixes. I just want to read out a few here that you could find important. So they made the maximum stun duration 5 seconds now. So whatever ability, whatever star cards you have, if it overlaps that 5-second mark, it would be reduced down to 5 seconds. For Boba Fett, they fixed an issue that prevented him from using his jetpack ability when For the Hunt was activated when his jetpack fuel was depleted. Now, I thought this was intentional before, and I said it was a bug. Someone said it was actually listed in some patch notes, but they said they fixed it now, so I'm a little bit confused with this one. But this looks like when his jetpack fuel is depleted, you can use the For the Hunt ability to gain it back in those circumstances where you need to. A load of Yoda star cards have been fixed. Apparently they weren't working right. And Finn's Deadeye targeting crosshair should now be properly removed after the ability has been used. There was an issue with it locking onto targets through walls after the ability is used and then tracking them, and then you could kind of follow them, which was kind of cheating, so they fixed that now, and that's good to see. As for classes, special units and infantry combat now, they've changed the dodge ability as it has proven too powerful, which was not their initial intention. Basically, dodging made you invincible. You got invincibility frames and you could take no damage during that time. Now they want a small window of that to be available, so what they've done is added in an unstaggerable window, which was similar to the one they had before, but now it's more narrow in time, so you have to time your roll exactly if you want to take no damage. And this is going to be far better for those lightsaber users, as they a lot of the time felt so much weaker against blaster users who were rolling around all the time. Well, now that's not going to be the case, because those blaster users are going to have to roll at exactly the right time to take no damage. So that's a good one, and I'm thankful to see that one in the patch notes this time. Under that we have some class changes. I just want to read out a few here that will make the biggest difference to gameplay. For the Assault's Vanguard shotgun, they lowered the start damage per bullet from 14 to 12. The CR2, they fixed an issue with inconsistent super success triggers. For the heavy supercharged sentry, they reverted the heat per bullet made for the 1.1 patch from 0.17 to 0.15. This basically gives you more time when using the ability. As for the Officer's Blurg 1120, this has received a nerf once again. They've lowered the start damage from 37 to 35 and the end damage from 20 down to 16, which means it's more of an offensive weapon now. You're going to have to get up in the face of your opponent to get the max damage. With it ending at 16 damage, you're going to notice that over range, the Blurg is definitely not going to be as effective. Next up is Milestones, and they've changed these around a bit as they would now claim automatically upon completion. Furthermore, they've changed how the milestone and challenges are sorted. They said now all completed items are on the bottom of the career tab, and we sort the active items by the amount left until completion. They've changed a few milestones around to make them easier to complete as well. Further to that, under location design balance changes, on Kamino they've made phase 1 and 3 in Galactic Assault easier for attackers. Tatooine in Phase 1, they've adjusted the spawn points, added cover and tweaked the out of bounds area to also make this phase easier for attackers. In Half Phase 2 of Galactic Assault, they've adjusted the spawn points to prevent players from being targeted by the AT-AT. Naboo Phase 2 of the Galactic Assault has had some balance tweaks, and on Endor for Galactic Assault they've extended the fallback timer from 30 to 45 seconds before the attacker's spawn points are moved forward. There's been a load of location design bug fixes, there's a big list there, I'll let you guys go through them. And for general improvements and bug fixes, they fixed an issue where players would not receive credits for duplicate star cards. They said players who encountered this issue previously will retroactively be rewarded with a proper amount of credits. They've improved the AI logic in Arcade, that was very noticeable when playing through Arcade and testing out the hero and villain changes. They've increased the glow of blaster boats to make them look more vibrant, that's very evident, that's great to see, as probably no longer need to run mods as I normally do. They've increased the dismemberment probability of the B1 battle droids from 20% to 40%, so you should see some limbs coming off of those battle droids. Another one that I like to see is they've improved the glow thickness and lighting of lightsabers. That looks fantastic, you probably noticed that in some of the hero and villain clips there. The lightsabers are looking so much better now, probably even better than the modders, which is great to see that DICE is stepping up and actually doing a little bit better than the modders, because the modders had it there for a while and I was thinking they should hire these guys because they're doing some really great work. On top of that, there's a load of other issues that they fixed throughout the game, and at the bottom they said several performance and stability improvements, which is always nice to see, with some UI improvements as well. Now there are some known issues and you can check the notes for those. But other than that guys, that is pretty much everything covered right there. Hopefully you have enjoyed this update video. Let me know your thoughts on changes in the comments below. As always, thank you for watching and I'll see you next time.